Tim Walsh, Levi McIntyre, and J Cittadino. These are the three drivers up to this point that have possibly locked themselves up spots in this year's Hersheys Cup Series playoffs. And will we add a new driver to that list here today? We are moments away from finding out. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready for race number 4 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. Memphis. It's made its debut in the Pizza Deck Series yesterday with a really exciting race and a coast-to-coast green flag race as well. We're getting ready to go short track racing here today as it makes its debut as well on the Hersheys Cup Series schedule. 75 laps of racing here today, so I don't know for certain if we're going to have green flag pit stops or not. I really don't know what the fuel window here is at this racetrack, but if it does come into play, it's definitely going to be one of those fuel strategy races that you're going to have yourself mentally prepared for. Your crew chief's got to have the calculator absolutely spot on, because with it being a track that's only 3/4 of a mile, you come to pit road under green, you're going to lose 2 to 3 laps. And so you got to hope and pray the thing continues to go green, that it cycles back around. So any track position you lost coming to pit road, you're going to gain it right back. If a caution comes out at any point when you're on pit road and you're trapped 2 laps down, very unlikely you're going to get those spots back. We also, like I just mentioned, we have not seen a caution so far this weekend. So these drivers have kept it pretty clean in the Pizza Deck Series race. We'll see if they do it here today. And we definitely saw that track position is a key factor. Phil Parker started on the pole for the Pizza Deck Series race here yesterday, dominated the race, led all 50 laps, and only left 17 cars on the lead lap. Look at the candidates we got up here at the front, drivers trying to get their first Hersheys Cup Series win. You've got Cody Smart, who back when we had the non-charter system had 3 non-charter wins, but he's still looking for his first charter win of his career. D Shears, getting his I believe it's his first full-time season here in the Hersheys Cup Series. Looking for his first win. You got Holly Davis in only her 4th career start. Had a solid outing last week at Arizona. Finished just short to J Cittadino as she was 2nd place. Alongside of her, you got Shane Lake, another driver, looking for his first win of his Hersheys Cup Series career. So a lot of candidates up here at the front. Will we see a first-time winner here today? We'll find out in a minute. Let's go get that command.
Drivers, start your engines.
So 75 laps of racing here today. Let's give you your point standings coming to this race, presented by Blame Shelley Insurance. J Cittadino, with his pole last week at Arizona, is your points leader, only by 2 points over both K Mathews and Levi McIntire. They're tied for 2nd place. 4th in points is J Srigley. He starts this race from the 5th position, so we'll keep our eyes on the 21 as he's running a long winless streak, as is K Batson, who comes into this race in 5th in the points. The rest of the top 10 standings include D Poteet in 6th, Anthony McCrury 7th, J McCloud 8th, B Gonzales 9th, and J Gardner completes the top 10. So here we go then. Passing's going to be at an absolute maximum for drivers that are mid-pack to the rear of the field, especially with the fact that the front of the field will probably catch the tail end of the pack before this race is over. Green flag set to come out here, and it is waving at Memphis. Let's roll! Cody Smart gonna pull out in front. Holly Davis will move into 2nd place. Battle for 3rd between J Srigley and D Shears. Shears caught up on that top side and going the wrong way as a result. Srigley looks like he'll clear for the final podium position, as up front Cody Smart leads, but he's got Holly Davis trying to reel him in. Whoa! Holly Davis getting moved out of the way by Srigley for 2nd. Shears found his way back down to the bottom, slots into the 4th position for the moment. Ooh, easy there. Srigley looked a little loose down at the bottom. Almost looked like that car was going to come around on him, as Smart continues to show the way. Already Young Motorsports has a victory this year with Levi McIntire at Phoenix, but Cody Smart wants to get the first win of his Hersheys Cup Series career, and he wants to pull a Phil Parker from yesterday, lead every single lap. Don't let anybody near him, but I'll tell you what, that 21 is wound up. J Srigley, he got by Holly Davis, and now it's going to be a battle between a couple of blue ovals up here at the front of the field. A couple of inverted numbers, the 12 and the 21. Srigley with a big run there out of turn 2. He might make a move down here into 3. How anxious is he to do that? Not that anxious. He's going to wait a couple of corners, it looks like. Got a good battle back here for 5th. Daniel Gilbert, Dallas McIntosh, Shane Lake currently in 5th, 6th and 7th. And Gilbert with a good run right there, currently running in the 5th position behind his teammate D Shears. As a matter of fact, you've got Michael Norman Motorsports cars lined up 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. Good run for all of those Chevrolets. Michael Norman Motorsports had a number of their drivers finish well in yesterday's race in the Pizza Deck Series as well. I think 4 of them finished in the top 11. McIntosh and Lake settle it out for 6th. Lake will take it. McIntosh will go back to 7th. Well, I thought he was going to. He now is going to battle back on the high side. 8th place right now, Kyle Keith. And then you've got Seth Cole currently in 9th. And 10th place just changed hands. Joshua Osborne just got around Dylan Poteet. Now he's going to go to work on another Tweenix Chevrolet of Seth Cole. Wow, he pushed up the track, almost got into Seth Cole there. Keith Batson, J Baskinger battling back here. That would be for around the 12th position. Batson 5th in the point standings coming to this race. He'll give up the spot. Baskinger will complete the pass. And there's Dylan Poteet just ahead of him. Poteet in 6th in the point standings. Of course, remember last year where he dominated atop the point standings for the first half of the regular season and everything fell apart once the All-Star break came around. Osborne going to complete the pass on Seth Cole, or at least try to. That is for 9th place, and he will get it. Right now, Osborne, the only rookie inside of the top 10, so obviously the highest running rookie so far in this race. Up front, it's like a caravan, it's like a train of about 7 race cars. Smart, Srigley, Gilbert, Davis, Shears, Lake, and McIntosh. And McIntosh breaks it up. He's now going to get 6th place from Shane Lake. Here comes Srigley. Finally waited long enough and completes the pass very quickly on Cody Smart in the 12. I gotta say, this is a lot closer and more competitive up here at the front of the field than it was in our Pizza Deck Series race. Phil Parker ran away with that race lead and that race win yesterday. But a lot more competitive all the way through the top 10 here in this race, and we're only 10 laps in as Daniel Gilbert will now move to 2nd. Big run on Srigley, tried to get to his back bumper for the lead, couldn't do it. McIntosh, who was back in 7th a couple of laps, now up to 3rd. Dallas McIntosh looking for his first win since last year's Great American Race Daytona 500, so he's currently on a season-plus winless streak. Trying to get Dodge their first victory in a very long time here in the Hersheys Cup Series. Daniel Gilbert, talk about a driver that's hungry. He hasn't been to victory lane since season 5, I believe it was, at Indianapolis. And Srigley, I believe, hasn't been to victory lane since season 4. I'd have to double check on that. Gilbert trying to get a little bit better of a corner exit out of 2 and 4, which would allow him to get better straightaway speed to be able to make the move on the 21 of Srigley. Dallas McIntosh, though, not resting on his laurels. He's right there as well. You could throw a blanket over the top 3. They all crossed the line, 0.3 of a second separation from each other. And they've actually gapped themselves a bit from 4th place, right now in possession of Shane Lake. McIntosh almost looked like he was trying to move the 4 out of the way. He's right on his back bumper. I don't know if there's contact going on between his front bumper and Gilbert's back bumper. Whatever the case, that 4 car looked really squirrely out of turn 4. Now, Daniel Gilbert, indeed, his last win was back near the end of season 5 at Indianapolis. Joseph Srigley, I'm almost certain his last win was season 4, and I want to say it was at, Arizona. And that would be correct. So Srigley has a much longer winless streak than Gilbert does. However, both of them have about over a season and a half winless streak at least. Talked about possible first-time winners, though. Shane Lake would be the highest running candidate for that right now, currently in the 4th position. Holly Davis there in 5th. Cody Smart is drifting back. He's now in 6th. Actually, a battle right now between himself and D Shears for that position. Then you've got this group trying to run them down. Kyle Keith, the 29, Osborne, the 27, Baskinger, the 38. That is 8th, 9th, and 10th. 11th place right now, Seth Cole. Scott Roush, second highest running rookie, right now in 12th. Keith Batson, currently 13th. Emmanuel Hartnett in 14th. And J Bryant right now completes the top 15. Now we've gotten ourselves almost 20 laps in, and we have gone clean and green to this point. Now the question is, when are these race leaders that we're seeing here going to start catching the tail end of the field? Will not take them long, being only 3/4 of a mile racetrack. Let's see where the tail end of the field currently is at. R.J. Reynolds exiting turn 4. Leader just now coming out of turn 2, so still about half a racetrack to go. So it's still not at this point that the drivers on the tail end of the lead lap, tail end of the field, are going to come into play. But I did notice some interesting names here towards the back. Cole Baker, R.J. Reynolds, Benjamin Miles, who was actually up in the top 10, I think, to start this race. Zachary Fitzwater, John Arndt, last week's winner J Cittadino, J Gardner, who came into this race top 10 in the points. Making a move right there on Jordan Anderson. Got some pretty big names here towards the rear of the field. Jordan Lopez in the 79. Chris Dollerton and Daniel Voyles. That's 32nd on back through 42nd. And they've got quite a gap before you get up here to Trent Dunham and Sean Gallighan, running in 30th and 31st. So right now, J Gardner and J Cittadino both in positions they would not want to be in. And where is Cittadino currently scored at? Cittadino was last time by scored in 38th. Let's see where he crosses the line here, because we got to see about that points battle. 39th is where he scored. Now what about McIntyre and Mathews, who both were 2 points back behind him? Well, they're actually side by side right here. Actually 3 wide, as Cody Lamas will bypass them both. Mathews last time by scored in 27th, McIntyre in 26th. This is actually a battle, I think, right now for 27th place, as I think Lamas moved to 26th, bypassing them both. So these two right here, the 09 and the 99, could possibly be battling for the points lead, and I'd say possibly because J Srigley's out in front. So far at this point, I believe he's led the most laps, and he came into this race 4th in the point standings, only 16 points out of the top position in the in the point standings. So I think right now, J Srigley, with where he's running and everybody else is running, I think he would stand to actually take the points lead over heading into Atlanta. These top 3, though, I don't know if they can't pass each other or they don't want to pass each other. But they did have a bit of a gap from themselves back to Shane Lake. Lake has been able to run them down. He's closing the gap up very quickly as the 55. And Holly Davis is following in his tire tracks, also starting to close up the gap. So we could have 5 drivers up here in this group in just a moment, battling for this top position, which would be 3 Chevys, 1 Ford, and 1 Dodge. And I thought I heard an engine, but I don't know if that was the 4th place car of Shane Lake or if that was the tail end of the lead lap cars. Srigley exiting out of turn 4 now. Leaders are entering into turn 1, so now it's only about a straightaway. Before, when we looked, it was about half the racetrack. Now it's only about a straightaway from last car in the lead lap, R.J. Reynolds, back to the race leader, J Srigley. And boy, Daniel Guilbert got awfully tight off that corner. Lost some exit speed, and that's going to bring Dallas McIntosh possibly to the inside. Nope, can't make the move, can the 14. And bear in mind, like I said, we added 25 laps here onto this race as opposed to our Pizza Deck Series race. They went the full 50 laps without having to pit in the Pizza Deck Series event. I don't know if adding those extra 25 laps on here, if these drivers can make it the entire way on fuel or not. Battle on for second. McIntosh has waited long enough. Moves the 4 out of the way, and he'll move into the runner-up position. So now, new contender on the back bumper of J Srigley. We'll see what the former Daytona 500 winner can do, and he wants the lead right now going into turn 1. Drove it deep, and boy, Srigley went down to block him. That took away the lane he was usually running, and he saw his car step out on him. Opens the door for McIntosh, and the Cheez-It white cheddar Dodge is going to go to the front. I think McIntosh scared J Srigley a little bit. Srigley didn't think he had that much of a run, came down, and then saw the rear end of the car come around on him, and now he's drifted back not only from first, but now to the third position, losing second to Daniel Guilbert. And all the time these drivers are battling it out, Shane Lake and Holly Davis continue to reel in the top trio. Believe it or not, we are not even halfway in this race, so there is still a long ways to go. So these guys you see up here at the front may not necessarily be your favorites to win the race just yet. We had a lot of late bloomers in yesterday's Pizza Hut X Series race pop up into the top 10, and we've got some here now. Jessica Shelton and Chris Dodd have both jumped up to 8th and 9th respectively. First time we've talked about them today, as both of them have now cracked the top 10. So we're starting to see the cars now that were set up for the long run, and undoubtedly the 02 and the 8 are two of those drivers. Shelton now making the pass on D Shears, that'd be for 7th. Now sets her sights on Cody Smart, that would be for 6th place. And Chris Dodd in the 8 following in her tire tracks. These are two drivers that really need good runs here as well. Shelton 33rd and Chris Dodd 34th in the point standings. So nice to see those two Camaro drivers having good runs right now. And who knows, now that they've passed Cody Smart, we're going to have to see if they can start reeling in Holly Davis and Shane Lake and maybe even these top 3. McIntosh is gone at this point in time. He has opened up 0.8 of a second between himself and second place Daniel Guilbert. So something tells me McIntosh also had his car set up for the long run. Saw that it took him until about lap 30 before he started making moves on Guilbert and Srigley for the race lead. And now it looks like he will be the first driver that will have to deal with the field on the tail end of the lead lap. I saw both the 14 and those drivers at the end of the field in the same shot just a moment ago. And there you see the first one he'll have to deal with will be the 18 of Cole Baker. Baker been struggling this year, 35th in points, and doesn't look like he's going to advance any higher in the point standings today, is running dead last as the 18 out of Fitzwater Australia Racing. Just ahead of him, there's R Reynolds, last week's winner, J Cittadino. Benjamin Miles, and I think that was Chris Dollerton, is turning hard left as McIntosh, as he'll go to work on the traffic. I cannot say the slower lap traffic because these are drivers that have no damage. They just had the misfortune of poor qualifying, with the exception of the 25. Benjamin Miles started this race up in the top 10, and I don't know what happened to him, but he faded back here very quickly. As now two drivers will go a lap down, and now this must feel good for Dallas McIntosh, now about to lap last week's winner. And he's going to get 2 for the price of 1, not only bypass the Cittadino, but now we'll get to the inside of Benjamin Miles. Now as he goes to work on this traffic, Daniel Guilbert has caught this group, and now he's going to have to try and make some passes. He goes to the outside of Cole Baker, trying to pass the 18. Not certain why he's doing that, especially with the fact that the tires will have been worn and there's going to probably be less grip on the top side. We're seeing Dallas McIntosh making the passes on the bottom. And then we got a little ways before we get to Srigley, Lake, and Davis, but they'll start catching this traffic pretty soon as well. There's Shelton and Chris Dodd. They have caught these guys. These two have probably been the fastest cars on the track right now. 24.7 was what Holly Davis just ran. Shelton ran a 24.3, Chris Dodd a 24.2. So those two are flying. Guilbert now starting to work his way through the traffic, but a ways up ahead is Dallas McIntosh. He's now lapped Daniel Voyles and Chris Dollerton. Next driver on his hit list would be 3 teammates, Gardner, Fitzwater, and Anderson. So in just a moment, if McIntosh completes a pass on all of them, he'll have lapped all of the Fitzwater Australia Racing entries. Guilbert was doing a pretty good job getting through the traffic. Now he's back up on the top side again, trying to get around J Cittadino. And even if he does make the pass on that high side, it's certainly going to hinder his progress in running down the 14 of Dallas McIntosh. Srigley has now caught the traffic, the third place car. Shane Lake and Holly Davis have also caught traffic, and here comes Shelton and Chris Dodd. Now, I don't know if Shelton and Chris Dodd are close enough here, especially now that we're dealing with traffic, to get up there and challenge the 14, but woo, yikes, Shane Lake and Shelton nearly made some contact. But I mean, if they can cut through traffic quickly enough and McIntosh runs into some problems, he's going to probably have to deal with Shelton and Chris Dodd before this race is over. They just made the passes on Shane Lake and Holly Davis, so now move the 0-2 and the 8 up to into fourth and fifth, and now just ahead of them is the 21 of Joseph Srigley in third place. Make that to Daniel Gilbert now having to deal with Chris Dollerton. Dallas McIntosh now having to deal with Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater had a poor performance last week at Arizona, dropped 12 spots in the standings down to 30th, and right now running in the 36th position here today at Memphis, trying to stay on the lead lap. McIntosh says nope, peels to the inside, but will he get to the inside of the 59? No, he will not. So McIntosh is having some difficulty with the traffic right now, as is Gilbert. And this is the battle for third between Srigley, Shelton, and Chris Dodd, and Srigley will make the pass to the inside of J Cittadino. No doubt Shelton and Chris Dodd will follow him. Shelton didn't quite get alongside the 72, and yeah, she will get to the inside. I didn't know if she was going to be able to get to the inside of him going into 3 or not. And Chris Dodd, former champion, going to follow in the 02's tire tracks, as now they'll try to start to run down Joseph Srigley for third place again. Srigley trying to reel in Daniel Gilbert for second. Then you got the lap car of Dollerton, and Dallas McIntosh has still not been able to get around Zachary Fitzwater, so Fitzwater playing havoc right now. Trying to play defense for his Fitzwater Australia Racing teammates up ahead, and this time I think Dallas McIntosh had enough. I think he moved Fitzwater out of the way. See him run the 59 up the track a little bit there to make sure he was going to complete the pass. I think finally he had enough. Oh, and here comes the 14 to pit road. Now, like I said, I didn't know if we were going to have pit stops, but apparently that is the case, and this is going to make things really interesting. Gilbert is in, Shelton is in. That turns the race lead over to Chris Dodd, who just moments ago got around the 21 of Srigley. That would have been for fourth place. Now it's for the race lead. So now the big question, whose pit crew is going to rise to the occasion? We've seen it's all about track position as Srigley now hits pit road. Chris Dodd going to continue to stay out. Who's got the race-winning strategy? Was pitting early going to get Dallas McIntosh this win? Or is staying out as long as you can going to get Chris Dodd maybe this win? We're going to have to wait and see, as now the 8's going to come to pit road. Shane Lake also had stayed out. He's coming in along with the lap car of J Cittadino. And there is McIntosh just now leaving. Tim Walsh, Seth Cole, third and fourth. K Shearer in fifth. They're on pit road now. Randy Gonzales and Sean Gallighan also had stayed out. They were 8th and 10th. And I think that's it. I think that's everybody. So let's find the 14 of McIntosh again, who was the leader when the pit stops began. These pit stops taking place roughly between 25 to 27 laps remaining. So Dallas McIntosh scored 17th, crosses the line this time 5th. So we got to find the 8, 23, 98, 55. Most importantly, probably the 8 car. Jordan Anderson's going to go a lap down. James McCloud a lap down. Baskinger will probably go a lap down here. Now let's see, where do they score the 14? Is he in the lead? He is in the lead according to the scoring. 2 seconds in hand right now over second place, which is Daniel Gilbert. Shelton is in third. Srigley in fourth. And right now, 5th place is Chris Dodd, who actually, I guess, staying out. That lost him some ground. He's now got Scott Roush on his back bumper for 6th. 7th place is D Shears. 8th is Shane Lake. 9th place at the moment is E Hartnett, now cracking the top 10. And this is actually a battle for 10th between Tim Walsh and Charles Sandfer. Sandfer now in 11th. 12th place is Dylan Young. 13th would be Seth Cole. 14th is K Shearer. 15th Kyle Keith. 16th is going to be Keith Batson. 17th Brandon Gonzales. 18th Benny Watson. 19th Sean Gallighan, and Kyle Mathews completes the top 20. 21st is Trent Dunham. 22nd Levi McIntyre. 23rd J Bryant. 24th is John Art. 25th the pole sitter Cody Smart. 26th Cody Lamas. 27th Dylan Poteet. 28th is Joshua Osborne. 29th is Jordan Lopez, and he is the last car on the lead lap. Saw that McIntosh had a little bit of difficulty getting around. I think that was J Baskinger, so that allowed Daniel Guilbert to close the gap, and there he is along with Jessica Shelton. They've got 2 lap machines to deal with, James McCloud and Johnny Gardner, before they can get up there to the 14, but the pit stops definitely closed the gap up that McIntosh had, and it looks like Gardner almost wants to get back on the lead lap here. He is going to try and go to the inside of McIntosh, and he will succeed. That's going to open the door down low for Daniel Guilbert to try and take the lead. Look at the 14 pinch the 7 down there, trying to stop that inside line from advancing on him. Well, remember that McIntosh's car didn't really come into its own until later on in the race. It was like he had his car set up for the long run. So now I guess he's kind of waiting for that to happen again, but it may be too little too late. Shelton makes the pass on Guilbert for 2nd. Now she's going to try and use James McCloud to get the race lead. McCloud getting back on the lead lap. Opens the door. Here comes Shelton for the top spot. And she's going to get it. On lap 58, Jessica Shelton to the point. Guilbert will move to 2nd. McIntosh back to 3rd. And don't look now, here comes Joseph Srigley in 4th place. Well, I thought he was going to get a good run there, but he just got boxed in by Fitzwater Australia Racing cars, Zachary Fitzwater and Jordan Anderson. That is 7 seconds back to 5th place, Chris Dodd. So yeah, apparently the fresher tires definitely came into play in terms of lap times. Chris Dodd stayed out about 2 laps extra, and those older tires apparently seemed to cost him. Still in the top 5 though is Shelton, now with a rear deck lid full of Daniel Guilbert. Jessica Shelton was a 2-time winner last year, although she had those 2 wins, though. A lot of dismal finishes, finished outside of the top 36 in the point standings, and ended up losing, or top 37 in point standings, ended up losing her charter. Ended up getting the charter from Michael Norman Motorsports 33 team. And now trying to pick up first win of the season in a Chevrolet Camaro. 15 laps to go. Daniel Guilbert right there behind her. Dallas McIntosh has lost some ground. He may actually lose 3rd place here as Fitzwater to the inside of him. Here comes Srigley, and he'll take the spot. There's Chris Dodd back here. This is a good battle between 3 drivers. Chris Dodd in the 8, Scott Roush the 60, and D Shears in the 07. That is 5th, 6th, and 7th. But it's going on 8+ seconds behind the race leader Shelton. Still a well-needed run for that 8 team. Same for D Shears, who came into this race 28th in points, and Scott Roush, who dropped out of the top 10 last week down to 15th. And you go a little bit further back, you find Shane Lake, currently slotted in 8th. Great run for E Hartnett, and here's the battle for 10th. Kyle Keith's going to take the spot from Seth Cole, and now he's going to challenge for 9th on E Hartnett. So the 29 flying through the field late in this race. Moves to 8th place. Another driver that's flying. Well, actually, a couple of teammates there. K Shearer in the 80, Tim Walsh behind him in the 15, and a couple of Fords with good runs there as well. 14th place, Keith Batson, and 15th, Dylan Young. Those two's finished nose to tail in the clash to start off the season at Daytona. Young in front of Batson. Back up to the front, see what's been going on here. McIntosh has lost touch with Srigley there. Srigley in the third position. Looks like there might be right side damage on the 83 of C Dollerton. I thought I saw another car up here that had damage. Was it the 14? There was a car that had damage. It might have been actually McCrury. Baskinger's got a little bit of hood damage. You look here on the right side, I think there is some damage on the 61. And you look carefully on the 38, you can see a buckle on the hood of his Red Bull Chevrolet running off the lead lap in 37th. So something tells me we may have had some issues either coming to pit road or on pit road during that cycle of pit stops. Shelton's got some company up ahead here. Jordan Lopez, Cody Lamas, James McCloud. She tries to go to the outside of the 79, but that might put her in a precarious spot as the 4 of Daniel Guilbert is starting to reel her back in. Guilbert gonna drive it in deep. Can he get to the left rear quarter panel? Yes, he can. Oh, are we going to go 3 wide? Shelton thought about it. I think she wanted to go up the middle with the 48. And she's still thinking about it. Yikes. Guilbert going to back off. That allows Shelton to slot back in front of the 4. And now Shelton's going to go to the inside of Cody Lamas. And Lamas is going to be able to get out of the way, it looks like, right there. Shelton got tight through the center of the corner there. So did Guilbert. Guilbert got really tight on the exit and lost some ground there out of turn 2. So Shelton's tight in the center. Guilbert is tight off. And as they hit the line, we have a total of 7 laps to go. Wow, Guilbert drove it in deep that time. See if he can follow it up off corner exit. That time he looked pretty good on corner exit. Lost a little ground, but not much. Is now Shelton on the back bumper of Jordan Lopez. And James McCloud making a pass up ahead there. That's for position on his teammate Dylan Poteet, who was up in the top 10 early on in this race. He faded back here in the closing stages. As now Shelton will make the pass on Jordan Lopez, or try to anyway. Guilbert gets the run off the corner. Ooh, boy, he's definitely figured something out there. Lets the car drift off of the corner and gets good exit speed, especially off turn 2. Let's see if he tries that here off 4. Well, he kind of can't. He's got a car to his outside. 5 laps to go here, though, at Memphis. Jessica Shelton, Daniel Guilbert, both looking for their first wins of the season. Shelton was a 2-time winner last year. Daniel Guilbert riding a winless streak going back near the end of season 5. More traffic to deal with for Shelton. That's Poteet, Osborne, and Trent Dunham. If they start racing each other ahead of Shelton, that's going to box her in and may play dividends for the 4 of Daniel Guilbert. Boy, Guilbert can drive it in so deep into turn 1. He's good in 1 and 2. Shelton seems to be a little bit better in 3 and 4. And she's going to get to the inside of Dylan Poteet. Every car that she gets the inside of and passes is a car that Daniel Guilbert has to do the same. And his car's not quite as good on the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4 as Shelton's is. So it kind of hinders that 4 car. Look at him drive it in deep again there in turn 1. That's his best corner. Shelton now going to put Osborne down a lap as Guilbert waits for the door to open down low, and he'll go down there as well. He's right on the back bumper of the 0-2, and oh boy, he's good in turn 1. Will he try driving it down to the bottom here in this corner? Shelton's going to try and get to the inside of Trent Dunham. Can't do it. Guilbert has to check up a little to avoid overrunning the 0-2. Which of these two is going to make the move down here into 3? Neither one yet. Oh, Guilbert looks. He's looking. There might have been a little contact right there, as this is the white flag lap. Shelton and Guilbert. Turn 1's his best corner, and Gilbert's going to get driven underneath by the 79 of Jordan Lopez. Guilbert, with a lap car, is basically going to get taken out of this win thanks to Jordan Lopez. Shelton's going to go to the outside line. It's not going to matter, though, as Jessica Shelton out of turn 4 is going to win the debut race at Memphis in the Hersheys Cup Series. And Jordan Lopez will finish on the tail end of the lead lap, but boy, did he play spoiler. Guilbert was trying to set Shelton up for turn 1. Coming into, it was at 2 laps to go, coming to the white flag, and Lopez dive bombed the 4 and completely messed him up. And this winless streak continues for Daniel Guilbert, but Jessica Shelton It's not been the greatest start to the season, but maybe this win will be the start of something good, as last year 2 wins was not enough to keep her in the top 37 in points. So we'll see if maybe this will help get better consistent finishes here in the future for that 0-2 team. She takes the win. Daniel Gilbert brings it home in second. Joseph Srigley will get third. Chris Dodd in fourth, and the rookie of the race will be Scott Roush, finishing in the 5th position. Kyle Keith brings it home in 6th. Keith Batson 7th. Seth Cole in 8th. K Shearer popped up into the top 10 in the closing stages for 9th. And D Shears completes the top 10. Brandon Gonzales 11th. Out of the race was Dallas McIntosh. And so I don't know what went on with the 14 there. I don't know if he came to pit road before the standings were complete or if he actually did have an issue on that last lap. But he'll finish in 12th. Shane Lake in 13th, 14th for Dylan Young, and Emmanuel Hartnett faded back in the closing stages to finish in 15th place. Tim Walsh, our Daytona 500 winner, was 16th, 17th Sean Gallighan, well-needed run for that team. Then in 18th was Benny Watson. Kyle Mathews in 19th, and completing the top 20 was Charles Sandfer. Rest of the drivers that finished on the lead lap were J Bryant, Cody Smart, James McCloud, and, as we saw, Jordan Lopez and Trent Dunham. 25 cars finished on the lead lap of this race. As you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results here, and apparently something happened with the 97 of R Reynolds, taking him out of this race, and Holly Davis, who was up in the top 5 before those pit stops began, finishes 3 laps down in the 41st position. A couple other drivers that encountered some issues, I guess, on pit road included drivers like J Baskinger, Anthony McCrury, Chris Dollerton, and Levi McIntyre, also John Arndt. So it's like pit road played a little bit of a factor in this race as well. But that is going to do it here for today's race from Memphis. What a race that was. I was a little skeptical on what race I was going to put in this slot, but Memphis has certainly proved to be a track that maybe we might come back to, at least for the Hersheys Cup Series. That was a really exciting race, and it came down to that long green flag run and the pit strategy. Shelton with the win. She joins Tim Walsh, J Cittadino, and Levi McIntire as a winner this season. So are those 4 of our 16 competitors to compete for the championship at this point? We'll have to wait and see. Next week, all 3 series will be coming back. Trucks, Pizza Deck Series, Hersheys Cup Series at the hot and slick mile-and-a-half D-shaped oval of Atlanta Motor Speedway. But I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race from Memphis. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, to become part of the crew today. We've shown you full official results. These are your rookie point standings and your overall points heading into Hot Atlanta as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. What a debut race at Memphis, and Jessica Shelton takes the first checkered flag of the season.